Hello, and welcome back to the Sanibel Captiva Guide podcast. I'd like you to give us a warm welcome here for Kathryn Brintnall, who she is part of the International Osprey Foundation, or TIOF, as it's also known as.
It just rolls right off the tongue.
So, Kathryn, thanks for coming in and talking about this. Obviously, the osprey is an integral part of the island, and we see them daily. We're very fortunate to see them all the time, and definitely a success story how they've come back on the islands. But tell us a little bit about how it started and a little bit about the foundation. I understand we know it started from a friend of ours who was Bird Westall, who was actually the mayor. He was a mayor of Sanibel, a conservationist. He did lots of canoe and kayak tours on the island with a educational bent. So good friend of ours, sadly passed away several years back. But tell us a little bit about the rest of it, how it got going and why it got going.
It got going because Bird had a passion for taking care of the environment and creating a harmony between humans and nature. He just saw a disconnect there.
And what a great name. They called him Bird, isn't
it?
I
I didn't find out till the other day that his name was Mark.
Mark Westall.
Mark Westall.
But everybody said the word bird suited him both physically and
he is very tall,
his passion.
Kind of gangly, kind of like Big Bird, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. And when I was talking to Tony Westland at Crow the other day, she's going to put us back in touch with a really cool video that was taken of Bird doing osprey calls. He was very talented at also doing the calls of the different alarm calls and begging calls and things that the birds do in their different situations.
Right.
So we're going to get back that video so we can post it on our new
cool.
website.
Yeah,
so,
we'll have to look out for that.
But following Bird, we also had another great legacy of leaders. Tim Gardner was also a president of ours. And he was, really picked up the baton and, brought it forward. And we've been very fortunate. Jim Griffith was an engineer, and he, after the hurricanes and things, he was very passionate about giving the birds, places to be, and the ospreys are pretty smart. They take advantage of when humans help them, and they live their lives right in the middle of us.
Yeah.
And it's, that's where the connection comes from. You look at them in the eyes, you see them tenderly feeding their chicks. You're out there in a kayak, with your binoculars or a lens, and it's not one of those days that's easy, but that's where the chicks are. Right. And you tie yourself to a mangrove and you just spend all day. And it's just, it's become a real passion of mine. I started, way back when my friends bought a house in Cape Cod, and there was a pair of nesting osprey, just off of their deck in the marsh at First Encounter Beach. And my niece nicknamed them Oscar and Ivory, and we went back every year to see Oscar and Ivory.
Right.
And when they ultimately sold the home and we just vacation up there, we still go back and see Oscar and Ivory in the marsh. So that sort of started my osprey journey. But when I got down here, it was just like a kid in the candy store. I got our home on Clam Bayou, and the first day that we were there, we looked out and there were, osprey nests everywhere. There were spoonbills, there were egrets, they were, just everywhere. Yeah. So to continue that excitement, just in my own backyard, it's like I am so blessed.
Let's start a little bit about the actual birds themselves. Like where is their habitat? Worldwide, I understand.
They're absolutely the most worldwide bird we have, and they've been around for over 15 million years. They were out there with the woolly mammoths and before the dinosaurs, but they're really highly evolved, and their evolution has made them really important features on their bodies that make them excellent fishermen. And they eat almost exclusively fish. If there are no fish and they're starving, they might eat something else.
Right.
But they really eat exclusively fish, and their bodies are designed for fishing. An eagle can fly down and kind of grab a fish if it's near the surface, but the osprey does this incredible dive. And their wings are really long and broad for hovering. They go to see the view and find out where the fish are. And they can be up there like almost motionless with just a little bit of a twitch for a long time till they position themselves for this dive. And they have these really long legs that can go, way down, and they've been known to dive 3 to 4 feet below the surface of the water.
Oh, wow.
Before they, come up, and that tremendous effort, depending on the size of the fish, to get their body out of the water again, and then they'll shake off like a dog. They just go like this and take off. And the other thing that they have adaptively is that their talons are designed specifically for carrying fish. They have the regular number of toes, but one is reversible. So it can go on the other side and help hold it more securely.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Normally they have 3 in the front and 1 in the back,
Right.
and they have one that can flip around.
Cool.
And they have these special spines, almost sandpapery spines that help hold on to. If you've ever tried to catch a fish and hold it in your hands, they're just slippery. They have their defenses too, and that being slippery is one of them. But the Osprey is designed to take care of that.
Yeah, you come across the causeway so many times, you'll see the Osprey with a poor little fish.
They have their
almost every
talons
time.
one in front of each other. Yeah, the amazing thing is they keep the fish streamlined so they can fly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll
The
turn
fish
it
is
around.
always running down the length of their body.
Yeah. I
I
always
often wonder what the fish are saying, like
I
they've just
wonder what the fish
been
is
sucked
thinking,
out of
too.
the water and now all of a sudden they're flying
Flying.
50 feet above the earth. It's probably a pretty shocking thing to be happening to a bird, no doubt. I think we've got a
With
friend
his friend
David
fish.
Horton who has a few cartoons about it, but
Right.
what the fish are going through in their mind.
Yeah,
Do
we're
they
just swimming along.
Fly back to their nest with the fish?
Not always. They'll fly back near the nest. Sometimes they'll fly to a nearby twig. The real insult is when the male will catch the fish and sit on a twig inside of the nest and just munch away on the head, which is, I guess, the most nutritious part of the fish for them. Right. And he'll just sit there and munch away, and she's screaming over here, going, I got to lay some eggs, or I have to feed these chicks. Hurry up already. It's hard not to anthropomorphize when you get really involved with them.
Right.
But they are just really incredibly
What are we doing?
designed.
We are making him into a
like
Humanizing.
a
humanizing.
Oh, okay.
Humanizing.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. It's easy to do.
Right. Exactly.
Totally.
You name them.
Give them human characteristics and
Right.
emotions and everything like that. But
so speaking of the nest, I know you brought a example of not really a nest, but what do you call
this is a nesting platform. This is what TIOF helps provide for people who want them on their properties or areas that don't have trees that are strong enough that can be adapted. And we build these platforms, and have a team of people that help install them, volunteers in the area, as well as some of our landscapers on the island. R.S. Walsh just helped us with a big collaboration at Ding Darling to put a pole on off of Wilford in the sanctuary. And it was just, LCEC gave us the pole, and we had R.S. Walsh with the big truck and the things there. And we had the wildlife whisperer, Ned Bruja, is also, helps us out, and he helped rig everything. And
so
members of the foundation were there sticking twigs on the nest. It was just it takes a village. It really does.
If you're listening, you can't see this. It's actually like a telegraph pole with a flat top to it, a square flat top with chicken wire across the bottom, and then there's also an extended arm where the birds can perch on, and I guess a tin
we have a
cover to stop
guard.
the rats or anything.
Yeah, palm rats, raccoons.
Raccoons, I'm sure.
Yep.
So, and how many of those are there on the islands?
These platforms.
Ooh, platforms. It's
heads up, the platforms in front of your face on the camera.
Oops. I did,
there you
sorry
go.
about that. All new to me.
Yeah.
We have a lot of platforms on the island, but we also have a lot in trees. I don't know the actual breakdown.
Right.
I don't want to make promises, but we have over 100 nests that we monitor on the island, and
Now,
a good many of them are platform.
Was that started by Bird? Was that his idea, or and what was the reason for the platforms?
I think the platforms, the big platform push was Jim Griffith.
Okay.
And that was because after the hurricane, so many of the Australian pines and the really big trees where they had been, having natural nests were just taken out, by the storms. But birds were coming back.
I read a story.
And that's
is LCEC, when the birds were coming back, they were nesting on the power lines and putting power out for the island and surrounding areas and stuff because they were getting
these nests are really, really big, aren't they?
Right.
Yeah, so they're putting power out so they would
And I
they
think
would
that's one
build
of
the platforms.
the things about you talked about the adaptability of the osprey
Mm-hmm.
for them to even use a man-made platform.
They're very smart. They're very adaptable. They like a big 360-degree view so they can check for predators.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're, they're not willing to build where they can't really protect themselves. And so the poles, they'll sit on a buoy in the middle of a harbor. We lost several chicks last summer because they fell in the water. And before people could get to them, they drowned. But we rescued a couple and we re-nested them on a platform that we jury-rigged on a dock in the local marina. And that was one of our big success stories last year, because when we started losing chicks for those kind of reasons, it makes everybody just devastated,
Right.
because you've really gotten close to it. But the size of the nest is really quite massive. I don't know if you can see this, but this is the third largest raptor in the United States.
And what are the-
with the
what are the other
wingspan, the California condor and the American bald eagle.
Right.
Okay.
And so that is it's a big bird.
So we're looking at three tree limbs, and in the middle, just huge twigs and.
Is it only
This is-
twigs they use, or do you?
The twigs, moss, seaweed, and they change out. Once the chicks are there, they're bringing fresh stuff all the time. But it's really quite massive, and you could sit in that. A human being could sit in that, and this really big bird looks tiny in that. So I just wanted to bring
Yeah,
they're probably about
A visual there.
6 feet across. I'm guessing the nest. 4 to 6
insane.
feet
Yep.
across, and maybe 2 or 3 feet deep. So yeah.
as far as the International Osprey Foundation, do you guys go out weekly? Do you have a certain?
We-
what
Well,
is
What
your-
are your
what's your
tasks
sched-
first?
Yeah,
I mean,
what's your
what
sched-
you go out where? I mean, what do you do?
Well, that we have 3 pillars of our organization: preserve, research, and educate. And in the preserve area, we monitor nests, we build platforms, we go out during nesting season. Every
Which
other
is
week,
when?
which is now. It started, in January, and it will go till June.
Okay.
Okay, but mostly between February and May. And the nest monitors go out every other week to check on the nests. They'll spend some time there. They'll watch the behavior of the birds. They'll notice whether or not incubation is taking place. Once they see incubation, they'll calculate 30 to 35 days until they start looking for chicks. But chicks are very hard to see in the nest
Right,
because
they're
they're
down in
they're
there.
way down in there,
Yeah.
and depending on the weather, if it's windy or cold, you may not see them for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So you may not see them when they're this tiny.
Yeah. And how many
But-
do they normally lay?
2 to 3.
Okay.
2 to 3. Any more than that, and the last one born doesn't get a chance because there's a lot of sibling rivalry.
And I would say that's
Really?
definitely a face that only a mother would love. The chick, if you
Oh,
zoom
man.
in on the.
But
He
this,
or she is not.
yeah,
very
but
cute.
at this stage, they don't look like much. But
No.
they're very, you can see here that she's fierce. You can see her; she's protective. This is one of my favorite pictures
That's
that
cool.
I've taken, and you can start to see the little eye, which is orange on the babies, and it'll eventually turn yellow like on the adults.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
But,
then how long do they take care of them until they have to?
Another
Get
six,
out.
another 6 weeks or so until they fledge.
Right.
And even after that, they have to learn to fish. And Dad sort of takes over that job. Mom's
Okay.
been really busy.
Yeah.
During
needs a break
like
after that.
she needs a bit of a break. She'll take off first, and that usually the male will teach the fledglings how to fish.
And do they migrate?
They do. We have a local population here that doesn't migrate far. It just stays in Florida, but they migrate from as far south in South America as as Brazil and all the way up to the northern New England. And originally they were all here in North America, and the worldwide populations have all migrated from North America out to the rest of the world. And we have ospreys on, like I said, on all the continents, and there's quite a population now in Europe that's come back. There was quite a besides DDT in Europe, there was also a lot of hunting and trapping because they felt that those birds were a pest.
Right. And describe, if people don't know what DDT is, can you kind of describe that?
Well,
to
let's
the
go back
audience?
to why I think reverse from that and say what were the initial problems? Why did the population decline? What brought
Started the
about the
foundation.
need for the foundation?
Basically, it was the pesticide DDT, which was our President Tim Gardner was actually on the task force that helped get DDT banned. But what happened with DDT is that the eggs of birds that had eaten prey that had also ingested the pesticide, the eggs were not viable. They were too thin, and therefore they could not reproduce, and the population just drastically dropped. That was it was a big existential crisis for all those birds of prey.
So DDT was used on agriculture that ended up in the water. The fish or their food source got contaminated by DDT. The birds then ate it, and then it was this knock-on effect.
The whole food chain was affected, and so they've recovered. Human beings have helped them recover, with platforms and the monitoring programs to track their productivity, and that's basically one of the roles that we play. The data that our nest monitors gather is registered on a international database. And that database can be used to project trends and look at the situations, monitor what's happening over time. Just since I've been here, we've been noticing what happens when we have algae blooms, and what happened. The big red tide we had in 2018. Yeah. We had a massive drop in productivity from up in the hundreds down to 26.
Wow.
In the whole area that we did in 2018. The spring of 2019, we had 26 chicks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, if you're not sure about a red tide, it's an algae bloom that has occurred naturally, and there's other things that can be attributed to it, but it's a whole nother subject. Look into it if you're interested in it. But so are they still considered on the endangered list, or have we overcome that?
They're not on the endangered list in Florida. They're still registered as a species of concern because of the water issues, and I think that. I think one of the most important things about them, and the reason that I think they're so special, is they're like a sentinel species. They're the canary in the coal mine for us right now. They have a story to tell, and the story is related to water quality, and it is related to their resiliency and the things that they have been able to overcome. And so I think they have a special place for us to take care of them, and to me, it's a privilege and a responsibility that I'm really willing to get involved in.
Oh, and how about if somebody out there wants to get involved? I'm sure you would welcome
we welcome everybody, far and wide. We're trying to grow our volunteer base. We've recently added more monitors who've been, coming to us. We now have monitors in Pine Island this year. Bonita Springs has weighed in, and a couple of folks down there want to do it. We have, several years ago, we expanded into Estero Island on Fort Myers Beach, and they have one of the biggest routes and very successful nests over there.
Do they have to have any special binoculars or
you need binoculars, and you need, being willing to spend the time. But we provide the training, and we'll give everybody one of these wonderful shirts so that people know what they're doing. Right. And we have special training. Claudia also does. Claudia Burns, one of our longtime volunteers, does a training program for us. There's also a training DVD
video, I guess, a YouTube video.
It's a presentation, like a PowerPoint on our website, which is in the process of having rolling out.
So and tell everybody your website domain.
Our domain name is ospreys.com.
Perfect.
That's just
really
that's just perfect.
Crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
And we're very happy to have that. We've got TIOF Ospreys for our new Instagram account, which will be going live with the website.
Oh, very nice.
So we're very happy to be able to do this. We're just finishing up our 40th year in existence, and as our birthday present to ourselves, we're doing a website. So
excellent. So how long have you volunteered for them, Kathryn?
I volunteered since I came to the island full time in 2016. In 2014, I was still teaching, but I bought my home then, and I always planned that when I got down here, I was going to do something with the animals, and I was going to become involved with the exciting things that happen here on the island.
So you're from the Northeast originally?
I grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
I've transplanted to the East Coast, New Jersey after college, and then.
And what kind of teaching?
I taught elementary school, so I got to teach everything. So even though I wasn't a science major, I got to teach them about animals and my love of nature, which fed a lot of things. And always said that when I had the time, you can't take the teacher out of the teacher. No. So now I help teach the monitors. I help editing as a rover, and when it's not quite so bad, I even shovel out the cages of crow. So it's being with the wildlife in any way is something that I've been passionate about, and I'm happy to be able to do it for TIOF. I think it's a really great organization. And
So what can the public do to help you? Are you on the lookout for certain things? Are you on the lookout for wild nests, or are you on the lookout for obviously injured birds? But I mean, anything else they can do to?
If they can let us know where where nests are, because we don't even know where they all are. So if they see a nest at their property, they can get in touch with us. Our email is tiof@outlook.com. And they can just shoot us an email, and we'll find out whose route is close by, and we can monitor them, and then we can have a better idea of the count. We're expanding to Captiva this year. Also, we have almost 30 nests on Captiva.
So I was at a house on Captiva last week, and they actually had one of these platforms in their backyard.
Mm-hmm. So if you wanted one,
that's what.
Sorry, I was like, no, I was like.
So I was going to ask if can you have one in your home? I mean, they had one, and they actually had a camera in their living room, which was eye level with it, and it would play on the TV, on the big screen TV.
Can we get one?
I would like to have one.
Yes, absolutely.
You can?
We can. We have to survey the property to see if it's appropriate. We have, the nest building and maintenance team would send somebody out to assess the situation and see whether or not you have a situation, like I said, with the 360 view, close access to water. And then we would go about, trying to support you in
Gotcha. And is there monetary on the?
If we give you one of our platforms, we ask for a donation of $250 to help defray the expense of it.
Right.
And it counts as a donation and a membership, which is ongoing. And then we also have some other special opportunities. You can adopt a nest for the season, and a monitor will send you either pictures. Every couple of weeks, or you get a commemorative book at the end of the season that shows what happened at your nest. And we also partner with Crow when birds have to be re-nested. And sometimes they have to be put in foster nests. Sometimes you might have to rent a bucket truck. So if you want to be a big hero, you can you do a $500 donation to help us rent the bucket truck. Right now, that's the number one wish for all of our nest the people on the nest maintenance team. I want a bucket truck.
Right. How tall is a platform?
About 30 feet.
30 feet.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be fun. Is there any downsides to having a platform in your backyard? Thinking personally,
they're not quiet.
Right. Okay.
There's some conversation that goes around when they're begging for fish. And they can be a bit noisy.
How long are they in the nest though? Just the gestation period? I mean, you said 60 days, or is it?
They could be around before and after that, but generally the really busy time is about 2.5 to 3 months.
Okay, yeah.
And it's one time a year.
Yep. Yep. It's usually in the spring. The local birds that have been around. They just kind of commute from Florida.
Right.
They'll come back earlier. There were some of them around in December that we documented, and there's some that haven't arrived yet.
And are they ringed? Are they marked? The birds marked, or just visually?
I think some of them might have bands, but we don't have anybody that has done banding. We would like to do more with trap cameras just to see what's going on. And, it's some of the nests, especially those that we've had a little concern about predation. Mm-hmm. So, we're trying to expand that capability. We're trying to reach out to people who have Osprey cams to see if they would like to have their Osprey cams stream live on our website. Yeah. And we want to have Osprey cams not just here in Florida. A friend of mine gave me one from Tennessee that she wants to monitor. So, and there's a place, somebody's place there that has an Osprey camera. I said, yep, bring them on.
Yeah.
We want people from all over. We've been communicating with a woman that we just met in Virginia, and they have an Osprey festival in their town of Colonial Beach in Virginia, and that's coming up in April. And they have all these events, including a golf cart parade to go around to where all the nests are, and the whole town gets involved. So we want to. We want to. Yeah, my brain is. Yeah, it's really hard to have so many ideas and not quite enough time. Not enough time and not enough people. We really want to get some more. People involved on our board and in our volunteer base that not just monitors, but have other energy and skills. Yeah. We want younger people. We have great connections with, our seniors and boomers, but we want to appeal to Gen X and the millennials and get their take on things, their energy.
Laurie, sounds like something you would like to do. Yeah.
and just get people involved, because we have so many ideas, but not enough people to do them all.
So just give me an idea of where we came from, and what were the numbers when it first started. This organisation first started in this local area in the 70s, was it? Early
1981.
81.
40 years ago.
40 years ago. So what were the numbers? What were the populations? What's the difference between then and what?
I don't know what the beginning numbers are, but I think we've almost tripled. The ones that we've been able to monitor.
Okay.
There has been some attrition, according to after storms and things like that, but we've always bounced back. One of the things that we're developing with the help of a graphic artist that we just met is a big display that shows what happens to the ospreys, before and after, like weather events, red tide, and things like that. And it looks like tracking since the early. I guess the monitoring data goes back maybe almost to the beginning, but we're monitoring different nests, so it's hard to make it, statistically significant and everything. But we created a timeline, and in between the really negative events, there's a recovery period of about 3 to 5 years, and then they come back. And for years since we started the organization, the trend has been going up.
Right.
So if you are traveling to the island, you're in for a treat, because as you come across to the island, if you're coming by car, even if you're coming by plane, you're still going to have to drive along Summerlin. And if you look up at the billboards, which are these ugly man-made things, they do make the most of them, because there's actually some nests above those and the signs. Yeah. And if you're luckily enough, if you're going across the causeway and it's a northerly wind, look to your right, and quite often they'll be flying alongside the cars. Maybe an osprey is using a bit of updraft off of the bridge, and they quite often will have a fish underneath and using the help from the thermals. So it really is a perfect place to see osprey. And
at the lighthouse too.
Lighthouse, there's platforms there, and you'll see them.
There's actually platforms on the Causeway Islands. There's 2 platforms on the islands and one by the toll booth. Along Summerlin, there's a couple of very active nests that we're trying to find out if somebody would mind just giving us data on those.
All right, come on.
Okay.
Nobody wants to drive across the bridge, but it's it is something we're just trying to get as full account as we can,
right?
And get people involved. To me, the most important thing we can do for humanity is to get them to fall back in love with nature, because our connection to nature is really, really important in so many ways. And if you find something to fall in love with, an osprey is easy to fall in love with. It's a great connection. But I think it's just one of my passions and my biggest job as a teacher and as a leader of TIOF is to do just that. It's to do what we need to do to get the word out as far and wide as we can, take our little community here on the island and put it out there, into cyberspace, and get more people from all over the world to fall in love with this bird.
Right. And parents out there, you do have a coloring book on your website that you can download.
Absolutely. Right. And we're starting to develop other materials, including long range, but hopefully not too long, some curriculum modules that we can market to elementary schools, but also to middle and upper schools. We want to try to see if we can offer internships, to college and high school students.
I know
community
somebody
service.
Who might be able to write those for you, Kathryn.
Who's that?
Connection.
Yourself, you're an ex-teacher.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Another job for you, Kathryn.
You know what? My head of school, at one of my recent jobs, had this great baseball hat, and it had like 4 different bills on it. And depending on what she was doing that day, and if she was feeling overwhelmed, she'd put that hat on, and then she'd whip it around and
spin it to the other.
If I were doing that, I'd have to have the bills go all the way around right
just
now.
Like a propeller.
Yeah. So please come and join us.
Yeah.
And
that should be an easy ask for the ones on Summerlin. I mean, people are coming like ourselves. We live off island, so I mean, like we're coming across the causeway every day.
And you do have a camera, I think.
Should be able to do something. Yeah.
You don't have a physical location, do you? Or
No.
where do you guys meet?
Well, we've been very fortunate. During the pandemic, we met by Zoom, but we also have been able to have utilize conference rooms at Bank of the Islands. They're very supportive of us. And when we have our large meetings for the volunteers and our annual meeting coming up in March, we'll do it at the community house.
Oh, nice.
Perfect. So we just had them off from the community.
We just had the community house on. So,
yeah. And it's their fundraiser tonight, I believe.
It is.
And by the time this comes on,
or 97 years.
It is today.
95 years.
What's the date today? The 17th January. So hopefully it went well.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. So obviously ospreys.com with an S is the website.
Yes.
Yep.
You need to check into your email address though. What's your email address?
TIOF@outlook.com.
Outlook?
Yeah.
You own ospreys.com. It could be TIOLF
That's what
Gmail.com,
our web
ospreys.com.
designer is trying to get us to switch it to, but I can't switch it on the air.
Yeah.
That has to all happen in
I'm
sync.
messing with you. I'm messing with you.
And my push right now is to just get the new website
And you're on
up.
Instagram. Do you have Facebook as well?
We're planning to be on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Right.
But we'll see how fast we can roll it all
The
out.
Instagram account exists. I just looked it up.
All right.
It has no posts or no followers, but it exists.
Max, you got to be their first follower.
I already did.
Okay, there you go.
I followed him 5
what
minutes
is it,
ago.
Max? What is the Instagram?
It is TIOF dot ospreys.
Okay, so let's everybody make a concerted effort to try and populate that Instagram account so that we got some followers to start with.
Yeah.
There
Hold
we
on,
go.
I'm going to show the camera.
We're going to start you off.
We are the
Number one.
first follower.
Yay!
Hey, excellent. We better post a picture there, Max. Can we get a picture on there?
That's awesome.
There we go.
Is there anything we didn't cover? Anything? Any asks of anybody?
I just think that I appreciate this opportunity greatly. It's a way that we can communicate with so many folks that visitors and residents alike. I'm sure you have a wide audience with the work that you do, and I would like to thank you for letting me tell everybody why Ospreys matter and getting their story out, because it's a big one, and it's a way for people to get involved in something that is bigger than themselves.
So anybody got any interest in how you can't have interest in these birds? I don't know. So if you do, reach out. What were you going to say, Max? Sorry.
I have something we missed.
Oh, come on, please.
Some Osprey facts and trivia.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
It's about to get good.
Here's your answer board there, Kathryn.
Oh, is that how this works?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
You got to cover your answer. Remember how the kids did in school?
Because of Kathryn.
Stop.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see how good your guys' memory is.
Oh, no.
We
Okay.
talked about this earlier in the episode. I think everyone will get it. I think it was a pretty significant event in your guys' lifetime.
Which we won't. That means we won't.
All right.
Not in my lifetime.
All right,
But
go on.
during the mid-20th century, North American osprey populations suffered great losses, along with other birds of prey, due to widespread use of what pesticide?
Got it. What? Are you questioning?
No, I have it already written.
All right, Dad,
Okay.
you go first then.
DDT.
DDT.
What you got?
DDT.
Yay.
Boo.
Boo,
All right.
DDT.
Points across the board for everyone from that. For that one. This is another one we talked about earlier in the episode.
Oh, we did good.
I know every time I write a question down, it's destined to be mentioned in the episode. Every time. But I wrote 4 questions this time, so we
Okay.
have a few extras.
All right.
Osprey feathers are very oily, giving them a waterproof layer. This, however, makes them very buoyant, limiting them to dive at a maximum of how many feet?
You did say this, Kathryn. Let's see.
See if you're paying attention, Dad.
Looking at mine.
No, I don't need to look at yours.
I'll go first. I put 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
I put 3 to 4.
Oh! Hey!
Thanks to Kathryn for the answer.
Hey!
All right.
We're tied up here.
So these two are going to increase in difficulty.
Oh, jeez.
Ospreys are also known as what?
Ooh.
Sharing their name with this Seattle NFL team.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't even have given you the NFL
No,
team
you
part.
didn't.
No,
That was too easy.
I've never seen a game of football though, so you're lucky.
Is that? Did you say NFL?
Yep.
No, NHL,
MLB.
MBB, BB.
We're talking about cricket. All right, Kathryn, tell us what it is.
Seahawk or fishhawk?
Seahawks.
I put
Seahawks.
It's the Seattle Seahawks.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what everyone said.
I said
Yeah, okay.
See, I thought it was fishhawk.
it's fishhawk is the one that is
More.
more known because there actually is a seahawk on the west coast that's a slight different. It's not an osprey.
See, I was going to put fishhawk, and then you said that, and that's why I questioned the NFL.
So you just didn't put anything excellent.
But
So-
it is known as Seahawks in some places, right? Am I correct?
I usually do fishhawk.
Fishhawk?
But
right.
that's because I think that the osprey has really evolved beyond what most hawks and other raptors have. So I think that they're pretty unique.
Just saying I got
So-
these questions off of the ospreys.com website.
Have your webmaster check.
All right. The last question. This one is not
And
from
you're
ospreys.com, actually.
And
So
you're saying this is getting harder, right?
this one's, this one is going to
You
be
know we're tied up right now.
well, this one's going to be a complete guess. So whoever's closest is going to be right.
All right. This is all
One
for the
study
win.
found an osprey traveling from Massachusetts to South Africa. A journey of over 2,700 miles.
is this Monty Python?
How many days did it take?
To go 2,700 miles.
Yep.
An osprey.
And for reference, a Boeing 757 does it in 20 hours. If that helps.
Do we know how fast an osprey
So
flies?
2,000, how far? 2,000 miles.
2,700 miles.
This is like an algebra question.
And how long did it take?
How
That's
many
the question.
days?
What are their headlights like? Do they fly at night?
I don't know.
I think I know down to the hour. It's the minutes I'm not sure about.
Oh, is that right?
Kathryn's looking deep in thought.
I mean, it's a total guess.
this
There's no
is-
way you can know
But
this.
this is
No,
for
I
the
do
win.
know because I only stopped 4 times.
This is for the win, so this is
For
serious.
the win. This is serious business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kathryn, it was a setup.
Of course it was. I have no idea.
Are you
All right, we
not
need an
good?
answer.
It's very simple. You just got to put down.
What are you asking me?
days.
I didn't know you were asking me.
That's a lot of writing. For
Well, you
days.
need exactly, don't you?
That's a lot of days.
It depends whether they see relatives on the way down.
Oh,
But I'm
that's
going
true.
for 19 hours, 7 days. 19 days, 6 hours.
I put 5.
Kathryn?
I put 3.
13 was the answer.
That would be me being the winner. Thank you.
Kathryn forgot the one. She was about to write it. I saw it.
You won?
right.
Of course. What do you mean?
I think it's been like a couple months since he's won.
Do you
so.
really have to bring that up right now, Maxwell?
All right, ring the bell.
Oh, yes, I think I will. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, stop
Congratulations.
until we see ourselves out here. Here we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, excellent. Thanks for coming on, Kathryn. It was wonderful having you here.
Thank you, Kathryn.
And we will definitely put the word out and see if we can get, if you've got any announcements coming up or if you're doing any fundraisers, please let us know. We'll be sure to share anything that we can. And let's support them with their Instagram account and their new website and get this place super popping so that it shows up on all the social media. So
Great.
excellent.
Thank
Thanks
you
very
very
much, Kathryn. Okay, and a quick shout out to our supporters. Without our supporters, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Bailey's General Store, Ford's Rum Bar and Grill, Spoondrift Island Bowls, 3 Crafty Ladies, GatorBites Tail and Ale, Priscilla's of Sanibel, Coco y Cabana, Suncatchers Dream and Sanibel Carts. And don't forget to reach out to Captains for Clean Water, one of our favourite island charities. Thanks very much. See you on the next one.